Good morning, everybody. I was going to post. It's early. It's about 5:20. I got up at 4, so let's do a little of this today. I did worship. I usually, after about an hour or so of worship, then I usually do an intercession prayer time. And then this morning I did about an hour, a little bit more of worship. And I was surprised it went because I was angry. But I did the worship. I said, oh, it's already an hour. But I feel guilty because I now am passing my normal Friday intercession, okay? Because I want to do my prayer time. But I will not be able to do it. But the teaching in Solomon, teaching in Kings 8, Solomon also said an interesting thing. There's keys in Scripture. It said, Lord, let your eyes always be open to the prayers that I have made in this place. This is like a spiritual reality. You can collect prayers. You can collect prayers of the oppressed. Let the sighing of the prisoners come before you, and according to the greatness of your power, preserve those appointed to death. Now I'm going to, I'm going to upload this to Facebook, and then I'm going to upload some of the ones I made yesterday. I'll give you a little timeline. I wanted to visit my friend Don, who, those of you have saw some of the videos. I'm not going to talk too much on that. But I got the chance to see him yesterday, and our mutual friend Connie, who I noticed she just shared the post from the wedding. But she's a good friend of mine. I call her Sweet Pea because that was her name, like on Facebook. But she married a very nice man. I've been spelling the name wrong, Ishmael. That's how it's spelled in the Bible, but it's Ismael, I saw. Ismael. But he's a nice man, good Christian man. So when I visited Don yesterday afternoon, just because I told him I was going to go by, and it upsets me to see him. He's looking on the computer. He's on treatment for another. He had cancer, somewhat in remission, had the tumor removed. He's getting another treatment some of my other friends had. That for something else makes you very sick. And he's Googling the medication and the after effects, and it's very difficult to be on this other treatment. So maybe this city could give me a break because I can't barely breathe and walk. I'm looking at this, and it's getting me outraged because it's all none of this is criminal activity. These are personal vendettas. There were that police take. I have multiple friends that ask me. So I went to the house, and Don said tonight is Connie's wedding, which I remembered, but I didn't really make plans because I'm busy. But Don said she would love it, John, if you did go, because she's a good friend of mine. I said, I know, Don, I'm going to go with you. I said, and she's a sweet lady, sweet friend, Connie. And so I enjoyed it. It was a good fellowship because I went with Brother Ray, Church Without Walls, and Don. We all rode together. But I did that little video, Questions. I titled it, Questions for Chief Markle. And that's why I was in that neighborhood, because I wanted to visit Don. Just so happens the chief lives right there. So that's fine. We went over. I parked my car in Don's property, so when we got back late, noticed people were looking, just outside looking. Fine. In general, I can't, some things I'm not, people are afraid for me to share, so I don't share. They're afraid for me to share because they're afraid of retaliation. Let's just say in general, if I had an officer, I think there's one that lives here, where I live, somewhere, but I don't know where. They said, yeah, the cop lives somewhere. If I had any disagreement with the cop, and I was a citizen, and for any reason, you've heard me talk about assaults by particular officers, all types of illegal stuff. And if you're new to the videos, Chief, I've been reporting stuff like that for maybe, 10 years? Various things that took place over a long period of time. But if you're a ranking man, eventually you're chief of a department, and in any city USA, and you have a disagreement, and you approach and knock on somebody's door, and you have other cops, other officers, in general, this happens, and then you're there for not official reasons. You're there to make threats, or that's a crime. That's a crime. I have gotten mad over the years in various times and various occasions with various people. When you're an officer and you approach a residence for whatever reason, and you're in uniform and you're there for a personal vendetta, that is a crime, sir. Because you're using your capacity to make a threat. So today I had Acts 16 that I was Acts 15 from last week that I needed to post, but we're going to get these up. And yesterday I taught Acts 16, so we got the 15 from last week, 16 I made yesterday. But we'll wait on some of that. This is why you see me speak on these issues. I was with Brother Ray for the first time, long time. I'm glad. Church Without Walls, because we went together. He did the marriage for Connie and Ishmael. And Brother Ray invited me. I spoke once. I don't do speaking like preaching at churches. But he invited me. John, I'd like you to preach this. And Brother Ray, I support judges. But he's got stuff where people made, they were mad at Brother Ray for various reasons. So there was a lot of complaints that went out. Code enforcement, CPS, when you get stuff like that coming, maybe from a personal vendetta of an officer against a citizen, a neighbor or whatever, and then you begin rolling all that. Let's go, let's have warrants. We're not talking crimes. This is what you got to understand. We're talking people that have used the system at times, that are in the system, that they themselves are immune from the system. And then they begin a rollout of, let's report some of my neighbors or whatever. And then you begin, warrants are going out, pictures, all over personal vendettas. If I ever had, this is no threat, if I ever had an officer with a personal threat come to me at my house in uniform, say, what's a cop? And you're there to threaten me physically. Do you know the crime that is? I've reported those things of actual assaults carried out. None of this is a joke. None of this is a joke. You violated law many times. Gave you the stories multiple times of many, those that are new, many of these cases. None of this is a joke. So we'll start this one right now. You have such a crime thing here. Very high percentage. I talked about the ICE raids. I talked about, and the population of this city. I'm sure they're all well-meaning, the new council members that come in and all. And I think maybe at times they're just unable to deal with systems that, if you have corruption within systems, I could give you so many examples across the country, within policing, and they were unable to really fix some of those things. And then when you encounter, whether it's family, relatives, or friends, and they've had certain old interactions, and then they say, but don't say anything. In general, in more than one case, but don't say anything, because they're able to themselves report us to code enforcement, Cops themselves could do this out of vendettas, saying, go get on this guy's case. Where does the complaint come from? Could have come from the chief himself saying, look, we run this. Go get some warrants on my neighbor, or go get this. You don't use your capacity for that, sir. In general, you're upholding a position, whether it's this city or any city, you rise the ranks. You never go to a neighbor, in general. You never make a threat. You never knock on the door and you're there if it's anywhere in the country and make threats. You just don't do that. It's not only a violation of God's law, that's even a violation of Maine's law that you're supposed to uphold. So I saw my friend Ray also go through the whole code enforcement. And then I see all the other. I'm not defending that man, DeRice, that ran over Mr. Andy Hines. I'm not defending him. I just wrote what I wrote because it seemed to me that there was also maybe a new DA that said, I want to show the play. And it was, that case didn't rise to that level of, this is not about egos. It's not about showing people whether you can perform as a defense attorney. I could be a slave. You just perform well. You do what is just. Okay, so wonderful wedding. Already 11 minutes. Wonderful wedding. I got some scriptures I could quote that I wrote down. The other two videos, you just kind of saw a little bit of, just a little bit of how things have operated in this place. Look at all my verses. In the fear of the Lord is strong confidence, and his children have a place of refuge. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Because they regard not the works of the Lord, nor the operation of his hands, he shall destroy them and not build them up. Many scriptures. Austin, a.k.a. Trouble, Austin likes to read these. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen, and punishments upon the people, to bind the kings with chains, and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise you, the Lord. You know, a few years ago when Austin read me, he says, these are not scriptures, John. I said, no, they are. That one is like the last psalm. And I have these just various ones. He knows the Bible, but he didn't think some of those were scriptures. And now shall my head be lifted up above mine enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Lord.